Tonight we are happy to be with members of Agent Side Grinder, and we're gonna do a small interview with those guys. We have Peter and Emanuel with us tonight. So we're gonna start directly with some questions. How do you feel with your sound has evolved since the last album, and what factors have contributed to this evolution?
When we did the previous album, AX, which was the first album with me, we decided to go for something completely new, to reinvent the band in a way. And that was the album that we needed to do at that moment, and the sound was very different from earlier. But I think all of us, and especially perhaps me and Peter, are also, we kind of need that dirt in the mix to make it work. So when we made this album, we wanted to strip it down to the basic fundament of this band, using amplifiers, not so much post-editing, trying to do as much as possibly live, not so many add-ons, things like that. So we wanted to keep it clean and raw and naked. And so that was our ambition with this, the latest album.
What non-musical influence or experience have had a significant impact on your music?
I think art is a big thing.
Art is big. We are big Joseph Beuys fans.
Yeah, Joseph Beuys is Joseph Beuys, and also the spiritual thing, like.
For this album, the Beatnik era, both the art and the literature was very important. William S. Burroughs, of course, and Jack Kerouac, which is partially in the title of Jack Vegas, and all that. But also a lot of Swedish literature were involved in this. Especially the song "Waiting Room" comes from a long line of books. So we read a lot. We like art a lot. These things are always important to us.
I think Anselm Kiefer, for me personally, is biggest inspiration. I think it's very important to. I work a lot with my hands, what the things I build for the band and everything, and it's a process. And I think it's also a kind of ritual to carry all heavy cases, and it's a cleaning process in a time with software. To just carry and drive around with this much equipment, it's like a performance, and I really enjoy that.
Also, I think you said one smart thing, considering the Josef Steiner, the Rudolf Steiner movement. How you described that all the amount of energy that we put into making the music, when building our own equipment, using old analog stuff, carrying it, all that physical energy goes into the music, and it turns the music into what it is.
Exactly.
How did you come to be inspired by Kerouac? You just spoke of it, the Beat Generation, and Burroughs, considering that Burroughs was also connected with pioneers of industrial music.
Well, I think you partially answered the question yourself. I mean, Burroughs is Burroughs and Kerouac were very important people to bands like Suicide, obviously, and what we saw was some kind of connection between how the Beatnik movement reacted against the American dream, and we wanted to kind of apply that to Sweden and our context at this time. Swedish society is really going through some hard times right now, and we kind of saw the Swedish version of the American dream is slowly crumbling, and we wanted to explore the Beatnik era as a kind of a tool to analyze what is going on in our lives right now.
How do you proceed when writing music? Who does what?
Who does what? Peter does the groundwork in creating the instruments and the sounds. Johan is the main songwriter. He composes basically all of the music. Me and Johan write the lyrics together. And we worked also with our former band member Henrik Sundbring, who was the producer of this album. So a lot of the work is done in the studio, listening to different overdubs, the mixing, the arrangements of the songs.
In general, we have worked on the same way from the very beginning. Is that Johan is a very extremely talented musician, songwriter, and he's very open-minded. So it happened something there when we mix different parts. I come from different background, more electronic stuff, making things, building things, experimental, and we find it's mixed up to a good thing.
Yeah, because in your band you have many different influences from types of music, very different types of music. So how do you manage to mix all those influences and
It's a constant discussion, I would say, but we all understand each other's different influences, and I think that we try to use them for the best. For example, Johan talked a lot about ABBA during the process of this album, and Peter did as well. I personally, I'm not a big fan of disco. ABBA is, of course, they're good, but I'm not a huge ABBA fan. But so the way that we approach such a thing is that, okay, how can we use this ABBA influence for the best and incorporate it into our music and make it, you know, and if you take that, the fact that Johan likes disco, and you take Peter's background in experimental electronic music, all these things, when they come together, that's how you build, how should I say, a strong fundament for the songwriting process. And these discussions are constantly ongoing through the entire process.
how do you navigate creating difference with the band when working on new material?
It's a fist fight.
We have a lot of, we quite moving slowly, and we talked a lot, but we have a very good, everyone know which part everyone plays in the group, and we have a respect for each other and listen to, and we have, so everything comes out of this.
Can you share a memorable moment of compromise or collaboration which shaped particular songs?
We can talk a bit about the song Waiting Room, because that was a very organic process for us, because initially we thought that the album, we had a lot of song ideas that were half ready, but we didn't really know how they would all fit together as an album. And then Johan wrote the riff for the song, this quite punky synth riff thing, and he wrote a lyric that was set in a hospital. Or initially he didn't even have a lyric. Actually, okay, let's do this from the beginning. What happened is he comes with the riff, and then when we were rehearsing it, we didn't really know what to do with the song. But Peter introduced a sample of William S. Burroughs when he talks about Dr. Benway. And this gave Johan the idea to make a song that was set in a hospital. So Johan wrote the lyric, but we couldn't really agree on this, and I came up with the idea that the worst part of the hospital is actually not being in surgery. The worst part of the hospital is being in the waiting room. And that kind of, once that story was in place, when we had Burroughs and we had that riff and we had this kind of anxious idea, that was actually what tied everything together. And we realized when that song was done that, okay, wait, the rest of this album should be Jack Vegas.
Okay. Are there specific instruments or production technique you recently incorporate that have transformed your sound?
I think this time we want to do, as you said before, we want to go back to our roots again and like pick what we like most during this period. And basically we started to listen on our amplifiers again. When we rehearsal, we use amplifiers for everything, and we have very loud level, and it's a spiritual thing that happened to the sound, and that we want to bring back that again.
So the amplifiers was a huge deal. Also, this album has no software synths at all. The album before we didn't use the amplifiers. There was a lot of post-production work. There was lots of, I wouldn't say lots, but we added some software layers and experimenting with all that. And I think the major difference in shaping the sound this time was, as Peter said, the physical interaction with the amps, playing them loud, avoiding the digital stuff and going full physical.
It's a spiritual thing when a sound going out to an amplifier a very loud level in a room, and you can get spirit of the room.
That leads me to the next question, my favorite one. What type of analog keyboards are you using, man?
Many people think we have a huge amount of synthesizers, but we have stuck with our.
There's 5 or 6 favorites in there.
The Yamaha CS5 is most important for the bass, and I bought it for. I can't even remember. I bought it for €150, and I think it's paid back good. And you have used it on all the Asian Sidegrinder albums. And then we have a Yamaha CS40. It's a huge machine.
We call it the monster because it's extremely heavy to carry.
And
the CS30 as well.
CS30 and
the Moog. That was actually also
Moog,
that was the part of the disco part of this record that Johan bought the Moog Grandmother, and we used that for lots of the bass lines. So we doubled the CS5 and the Moog all through the album, I think, basically.
And for me personally, I use the Teisco 100. It's the same like Mark Fairhagen used in the clinic, and it's a great synth for me because I can use it as some kind of interface for my things. I plug in and out things through that.
Okay, so could you give us more details about what you are? Well, I just said that using, but how do you mix all those? Because you had so many influence. In all your album, each album is completely different. It's each time. How do you manage to do those?
I think it all comes naturally. There is this saying that there's always for each era of the band, there's always a new instrument involved, and this time it was the Moog, and I think that kind of creates the foundation for like the idea of what sound we are going for, and so this time we started out from like the Moog, from the disco feel, but we knew that we wanted to get all the dirt in there, so that's how we decide, okay, if we are going to use the Moog, which is very clean, very new sound, we have to bring back the amplifiers, we have to run all the drum machines, all that through the amplifiers. So it's a discussion and a constant thinking, like how do we affect the sounds to go in the direction that we want, and of course based on the pieces that we have. So we just, we go to the studio and we slowly pick out, okay, maybe it's time for the CS40 Monster to come back, and maybe it's time for this to come back, and maybe it's time for this one to have its first round. And then over the course of 2 years, things just start to fall in place, and all of a sudden we hear a sound for the album from that.
Do you have any pre-show rituals or routine that helps to set the creative tones before performance?
Yes, but it's
very secret.
It's very secret.
No, nobody knows this.
It's so also very.
We have
corny.
rituals.
We have rituals.
So we will keep that secret for you. How do you hope your music resonates with your audience, and what emotion or message do you aim to convey?
I think, for me personally, I don't have so much that I want to change how people see and things. I'm very happy that we can do things that, for example, at this restaurant, there was a couple that said that they've seen us in Lyon, all the concerts we've done in Lyon, and they saw that we play in Paris, and they booked tickets, and I mean, I'm very happy that people enjoy what we do, and that's the best thing we can get.
That is very true, but I also think what you said earlier about the spiritual experience of when sound becomes physical, I think that's very important to us in our live shows. That's, how should I say, like, both when it comes to ideas and emotions, I think the 3 of us have our own version of what we want to achieve, but our shared output becoming that kind of physical and spiritual experience for people when they are watching, that's the most important part. And I also think that is what makes people come back for several shows.
How do you feel when you play in Paris and France?
We love it.
Come back and meet old friends.
Yeah.
I mean, we have been playing together now for almost 20 years, and we had France and Paris and Amsterdam was the first cities we start to play live in almost. We did some shows in Stockholm, but mainly France and Paris was it was a lot of concerts in the beginning here, so it's very fun to play here again.
Although the news has scared us a bit about all the bed bugs here.
We have our total loss about this. Don't touch anything.
Don't trust the media. Can you share the story behind the song's Waiting Room and the inspiration behind its lyrics?
Maybe Maitland.
And Midland, of course.
Okay, so Waiting Room we talked a bit about earlier, and as I said, there was a lot of things that led to the idea that the waiting room is kind of a place where you exist in a limbo. You don't really know what is going to happen. You are completely powerless at that moment. And that's also how we felt after the pandemic, and we haven't, what is going to happen? Why is nothing happening right now? What's going to happen? All these, and that's the kind of the emotion that connected with the theme of the waiting room and such. So that's more of a song about the general feeling, an emotional state. Whilst Madeline is quite the opposite. It's about a very factual thing, a famous Swedish murder, and it was the story behind the lyrics is that Johan went. He spent his summer close to the area where this murder happened, and he decided to go to one of the crime scenes, and he was very touched by this. So he and there was a piano in this house where he was staying. So he just sat down and wrote the song Madeline based on that story, the crime story.
Where is Agent St. Grinder going to go in the future with all what you have done? Do you have already ideas of what you want to do next?
It's a constant progress. We talk a lot in the group, and we have I think one of the reasons why we have been doing this for so long time is that we all have we share same ideas, same vision, and we talk about what we want to do, and it's no conflicts.
It's quite a long process.
Yeah,
it is a long process. It's a slow process, and we never have a clear goal as such. But as Peter says, it's an ongoing discussion that kind of shapes the path automatically to what we're doing. And I mean, the obvious answer is, of course, that we're going to keep on touring as much as possible. Live is very important for us, so that part will always be. Then for me personally, I was hoping that we could get a new record out quite soon, but we will see. We have absolutely no starting ground for a new album right now, so we'll see what happens.
So what are the next dates you're gonna do? Are you touring right now?
We're touring right now, so tomorrow we have a day off. We are spending it in Dijon, and then we go to Lyon after that. So we play Lyon, we play Vienna, and we go up the east side of Europe. We play Poland, some dates in Germany, and then in the beginning of next year we do some UK, 4 or 5 shows in the UK, and then we just keep going.
Thank you very much for this nice interview.
Thank you.
It was not that much prepared, but we were happy to do that with you.
Yeah.
And we hope to see you very soon again. And let's see now, we're going to make some pictures and filming of the show. We hope you're going to enjoy that as much as we will.
We will, for sure. It's a shared experience, so
exactly.
The enjoyment is mutual.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice show.
Thank you.
So twisted, so strange.
I believe that even though it is a Friday, what night is Friday today, right? Saturday. Even though it's a Saturday night, we believe that we have reached that time of day that we used to call the wolf hour. And we were wondering if you would like to spend that with us. Would you? Then we do it together.